Okay, so this video is on another resource for teaching reading comprehension in the classroom. This website is called ReadTheory, and as it says, it's a free resource for improving students' reading comprehension. The way it works is there is a teacher view in which you can create a classroom and add students to the classroom and assign short passages of text and have students practice comprehension by answering related questions. It's less story-based, kind of like a Newsella or one of my other resources that I'm going to talk about, ReadWorks. It's just short passages, and I feel like this is a really great way to allow students to practice reading comprehension skills short term, kind of like if you were to assign them IXL modules. Rather than giving them full passages to read, just give them something quick that they can practice with downtime. If they have breaks in their day, if they finish their work early, you can say, okay, get on ReadTheory and practice comprehension with some passages. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the resource. So this is the student view. When you first log in, it gives you this pre-test. It'll give you a passage. You can do focus mode to sort of bring it up bigger. You can also change the text size to make it more readable. But it bases off the age that you give them when you create an account. And here I'm just kind of randomly selecting different options. And here it shows you can highlight the text if you need to see specifically what the question is referencing to. But as I'm going through this pretest, I'm answering correctly and incorrectly just to see how that creates a score for me at the end. As you can see, they provide different passages of various lengths. There's fiction, nonfiction, informational, narrative, that kind of thing. And it gives you different questions about text meaning, vocabulary within the text, so it does practice a little bit of vocabulary in context as well if you wanted to use it for that. But also just understanding continuity of text. So that's what it's kind of bringing you through right now. Every student will get this pretest when they first come in, and it will help the teacher see what level that they're at when they're reading. So I'm just going to finish this up. And whether you get it right or wrong, it gives you the same response for the pretest. That will change when you get to the actual quizzes. So almost finished. There's a little progress thing at the bottom. And then once you finish the pretest, you enter the program, and immediately will launch you into a new quiz. So you might want to walk your students through this at first, just so they know when to start. If you're wanting them just to take the pretest and stop, make sure they know to stop. But this is what the regular quiz looks like. It looks a lot like the pretests. So the students would read the passage and then select whatever answer. This one is just about order of events in the text. And it'll tell you whether you got it right or wrong. And again, there's that highlight text feature so they can see exactly where in the text they can find the answer. Sort of walk you through. And then say I were to answer a question incorrectly. So pick birds, and it's incorrect. The student can view an explanation of why that's the correct answer, which is very helpful. And it also explains how this specific question connects to a standard. And then there's also these challenge questions that are sort of slightly above grade level, so students can sort of challenge themselves and earn some of the extra point program feature that they have in here, the knowledge points. That sort of acts as just like a motivator. They can get little digital rewards, badges, that kind of thing. So it's just like a little incentive program within it. And then once you finish a quiz as a student, you can see your progress. One thing about this site is that it does have ads. If your student has like a Chromebook that would have an ad blocker, I would imagine that could fix this problem, but that is one of the downsides of this program. And then as you can see here, students can view their lexile level, and as they take more quizzes, it'll show more progress, their grade level. And then there's also a feature to view curriculum standards and how they were doing with specific curriculum standards, which I will show you a little bit more in the teacher perspective of things, but that is a paid feature. So again, there's also some questions that have written responses. Didn't have any written responses in that quiz. so didn't have anything to do. But that's something you can see where any written responses would be pending, and then teachers can provide feedback and that kind of thing. So we're going to switch over to the teacher's perspective. So here you can see the teacher view of the class. So it has my classroom, and then here's kind of the progress reports that I can see. Right now I just have one student because it's just me. But that's what I was talking about, the different standards. So that's a paid feature, unfortunately, but if that was something you were interested in, if your students really liked this resource, and you wanted to have like the full package, that could be something to invest in. I looked, and I don't think it's like a ridiculous price, and there may be some grants for teachers who are utilizing it in the classroom. But like it says, it just kind of breaks it down into different standards, different curriculum. Here it shows progress for different quizzes. I'm not sure why it wasn't popping up right then, but later I think it just reloaded. It did say what specific quiz was taken, and you can look at the exact questions, what they did right, what they did wrong, which you'll see in just a little bit. Again, it shows the grade level that the student tests at. You don't put in their grade level, it just shows it. And then the Lexile level that they're at. It gives you the averages and kind of like the highest end of those. Again, Knowledge Points is just an in-program reward system, and there's those curriculum breakdowns again, so you can see exactly what percent of students answered correctly, things you might need to go over with the whole class or with a specific group of students. There's different breakdowns of the goals of what they're supposed to be learning. Again, if you go up to my students, you can see all the students in your class. That was me trying to figure out how to put people in. I figured it out after a second, obviously. But you can see all the different students that you have, and you can see their individual progress. So again, there's that quiz history that I was talking about earlier. I couldn't see it a second ago, but it tells you what they read, what Lexile level that text was at. And again, it shows you the specific questions. You can flip through the quiz, look at what they got wrong, why they might have gotten it wrong, that sort of thing. So I think that tool is particularly useful. I like that there's sort of a dashboard for teachers where they can see exactly what progress students are making. The texts are leveled and catered to them. And then if you wanted to assign an activity, there's a drop-down list in the class for each student you have. You just click on that. And then here, so there's a couple different ways to assign with this program, and unfortunately it's another paid feature to have them assign specific text. If you want to pick and choose exactly what text they look at, that is a paid feature. Again, I don't know that it's very expensive. It would just depend on if this is something you really want to implement in your classroom. But there are weekly activities that you can assign and that students can just log in and start doing that are still catered to them. They just can't pick and choose exactly what they want to do. So this is definitely for more individualized practice rather than using it really as a supplement to instruction, because it is a little bit harder to very much individualize it based on content and interest, or like have a whole group where you assign the whole class the same exact text. So I would say if I were going to use this in my classroom, there's kind of a breakdown of the plans. It would be for individual practice for students who needed it rather than as a supplement or replacement for instruction. So that kind of shows the pending activities that you've assigned, that they're just waiting to complete. And that is basically the program.